I get it. AI is supposed to make coding easier, but sometimes it just spits out bad code or gets stuck in these infinite loops. After building 4 AI-powered apps and coaching others through this process, here's what I've learned. It's not necessarily about using AI more. It's about using it strategically and more effectively. AI mirrors how clearly you think. So if your prompts are fuzzy, your project is messy, or you're not testing things properly, you'll waste time and get frustrated. In this video, I'll share 5 simple habits that completely changed how I code with AI. And honestly, building these habits are worth the investment. They have saved me so much time. These are the 5 essential habits to build when you're coding with AI. 1. Save often and commit to GitHub continuously. 2. Understand your project structure and essential high-level concepts about your tech stack. 3. Pre-process with AI before prompting, so add in context and clarify goals. 4. Use AI to explain and teach you instead of just asking it to write code. And 5. Test everything and validate inputs, outputs, and edge cases frequently. In the rest of this video, I'll break down each habit with examples so you can start using them right away. Tip 1. Save your code and use versioning constantly. Yeah, it sounds basic, but it's absolutely critical when you're coding with AI. Why? Because AI can and will break things without warning. But versioning gives you a safe rewind button. When you're working fast, especially with tools like Cursor or Claude Code, you might try implementing a feature multiple times. And most of those times actually might not work. But if you have a saved version of your code, you can and should stash all that accumulated bad code and only implement the one change that actually really worked. If you don't do this, your code will likely become a tangled mess very quickly. Finally, the most popular AI coding tools may have some type of restore functionality, but they don't always work. And that's why it's essential that you have a saved version of your code in a GitHub repository that you can always go back to. Tip 2. Understand your project at a high level. AI can write code, but you're still ultimately the architect. If you don't know how things work, for example, where a file goes or how your front end talks to your back end, you'll likely get lost the second something breaks. If you're using the Next.js Supabase MVP stack, here are some things you'll probably want to understand before you start prompting. For Next.js, you'll want to know file-based routing, the differences between server-side and client-side rendering, and what API routes are. For Supabase, you'll want to know what Supabase powers, for example, authentication, databases, file storage, and edge functions, where things live in Supabase, for example, things like tables, policies, users, storage buckets, and finally, you'll want to understand how to modify these things both in the UI and using SQL. For other tech stacks, I'd recommend using your favorite LLM to identify the core high-level concepts related to your project structure, and to learn about them at least at a high level. The clearer your mental model of your project, the more powerful and effective your prompts will be. Tip 3. Pre-process before prompting. This is my favorite and highest impact tip. It's also the one most people skip when they first start using AI to code. Let's make it more concrete. Say you want to improve the security of your app. A weak prompt might look like, make my app more secure. That's vague and your AI coding tool won't know where to start. Instead, you should pre-process. This means take a step back, frame the problem, and guide AI through a structured process. Here's an example of a 3-step prompt sequence you could use instead. First, audit this codebase for vulnerabilities. List them by priority and don't make any changes yet. 2, suggest fixes ordered by impact. Explain your reasoning for each. And finally, implement fix number 1, then repeat for the next steps. You want to break it down, be clear, and be specific. This kind of prompting makes AI smarter because you were smarter first. If you only remember one tip from this video, make it this one. I swear it'll save you hours of trial and error. Tip 4. Use AI to learn while you build. AI isn't just a code generator. It can also be a world-class on-demand tutor. When you hit an error, your first instinct might be to say something like, "Fix this bug." But that actually often leads to shallow fixes, or it could have your AI coding tool going in circles. What's a better approach? You can actually use AI to teach you what's happening. Ask things like, what does this function do, step by step? Why is this feature structured this way? What are the trade-offs of this approach? And finally, can you show alternative implementations, maybe more minimal or incremental? Prompt it like you're pair programming with a very smart mentor. You can try multiple versions and save and compare the answers. You shouldn't just be chasing a fix. You should be learning the why behind the code. And every bug is a chance to level up. In my experience, this is the most reliable way to get unstuck, especially when AI isn't giving you clean answers. Tip 5. Test and validate everything. AI will confidently hand you broken code. If you trust it blindly, your app might seem to work, but will break when a user actually tries to use it. So here's how to stay ahead. After every AI-generated change, you should make it a habit to first read the code and really verify that it did what you actually asked it to do. Second, manually test core workflows. For instance, try it out like a real user would, whether that means logging in, submitting forms, or refreshing pages. Finally, check for edge cases. For instance, test what happens when the user is logged out, there's no valid data, or an API call fails or times out. Lastly, you'll want to write unit tests. Is this painful? Yes, but AI can help generate the unit tests and they'll catch bugs before you find them the hard way. This matters because AI is often changing more code files than you might expect or anticipate it. And you won't find out right away about these bugs if you don't have unit tests. Don't wait to test your code. The longer you delay, the more bugs will pile up and the harder they are to trace. Test early, test often. I promise it'll save you hours of debugging later. AI is incredibly powerful, but you still have to think. If you want to build more effectively, we highly recommend investing in these habits. Save often, understand your project framework, pre-process before prompting, learn with AI as you go, and test at every step. These habits will make you not just faster, but also significantly more effective. If you want to go in more depth, I walk through this and a lot more in my full course on building full stack MVPs at Curiosity. The link is in the description below. And if you're excited to build real apps with AI, please subscribe to my channel. More videos are on the way.